what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to another episode of Underrated Gems with myself and radardeboard.
Hot damn. We hit the halfway mark. Or no, wait. Crap. We're in the second half. Second half.
Yes,
Yes.
we have only 4 after this episode, whatever that
There we
is.
go.
Numbers are hard.
We're not known for our math skills, so that's all right.
I do hold you to a higher standard on the math side, though, because
Uh-oh.
I see numbers and I go into like full blown panic. So when last we met, we discussed Theater of Blood, and so we gushed basically for like over half an hour, I think, about Vincent Price and how wonderful and magnificent he is and how fun that movie is. So we're going to switch gears a little bit this week, and this time we are talking the 1989 movie Intruder.
Oh, yeah. And it's so surprising how little this one gets talked about.
I have only heard of this one a couple of times. So,
Yeah.
and of course, this was the first watch for me because I had never seen it. So, um, this is one of the most gory ones, I think, on your list. But yeah, why? I guess we'll start. We normally do. Why do you think this is an underrated gem?
Right. Well, because, I mean, unless you're Ricky Grimes or me, that's it. No one else is really talking about this movie. And I think
Yeah.
it might be the time period it came out, because it came out in 89. The slasher genre had certainly waned in popularity at this point.
No, for sure.
But this is one of the most well executed slashers like that I have seen. And like also the location is pretty cool. You've got it's in a grocery store.
Tons of opportunities for things.
A plethora of ways to dispose of this cattle, aka people.
Yeah. This was another one I jumped into and I didn't watch like anything about it. I didn't read it. I just was like, okay, Intruder. So I did not expect it to take place in the grocery store. It starts in the grocery store and I thought, okay, we're gonna go to somebody's house because that's what I think, intruder breaking in,
Right.
And I was like, oh no, the whole movie is in the grocery
It's
store.
in this
But
grocery
it's a
store.
cool setting.
Yeah, and again, it's just it takes a little bit with the setup, like 30, 35 minutes for things to get set up. But then once it gets there, it's just let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. It's just right from kill to kill to kill to kill. Just like I said, really well executed, just in the way it does things. And the kills themselves are so interesting. We'll talk about that later. But like, oh man, and I feel like it resonates more now, the premise of what's going on, because it's like a small grocery store.
Yeah.
It's a small business.
Yeah.
And that's like, we're going out of business. We're selling it off. It's going to get demolished.
Nobody's going to have a job anymore, or at least not that job. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you guys are getting laid off, but thanks for staying with us to help inventory stuff so we can sell it off, and it's very relatable because, that sort of thing is happening a lot nowadays.
Yeah. You're not wrong in that regard. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like it's a nice little pace.
Yeah. No, this is a wild one. Well, and it's funny because like this is one that I think is supposed to have kind of a twist. But unfortunately, I didn't see this in 1989. So I've seen not obviously the exact same thing. I would not say that this exact thing has been done, but enough of the concept of this have been done that I was able to pin pretty quickly what was actually happening. I will say though, because a majority of my notes are just about the kills, I think that it doesn't take away from anything. Even if you were to watch this for the first time and you're like, oh, and you guess like what's going to happen, I don't think that it takes away from the experience of the movie because there's a lot of like back and forth scenes. You're seeing different parts of the grocery store. You're seeing the different stories and the different characters, and things are happening, and you get kind of pulled in a few different directions. But I don't think that this is not a movie I would say relies very heavily on this concept of a twist landing because I think even without that, it was a really, really solid little slasher movie. I agree with what you said.
Yeah, and clearly the filmmakers or whoever is distributing it now also agrees with you because the fucking poster has the killer on it. It shows you who it
We
is.
talked about that, didn't we? Did we talk about
I
that
don't
when I was
know.
watching it? I feel like we did. I feel like
Yeah,
it came up,
maybe.
and you were like, "Don't look at posters
Yeah, like just
for
don't
this
look at the
movie."
poster, which is wild. But it's like because it's clear that they want a little
It's
bit of
meant
a
to
twist,
be it's meant for you to think one thing and then be revealed that it's another. Even if you only believe it or think it for like a short period of time.
right? And it's
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
and they
that's crazy. I don't know, that's weird.
yeah, and but I will say, poster's pretty cool,
Yeah.
minus ruining the twist. But
Ruining the twist. Yeah.
but like you
Yeah.
said, it's clearly not tantamount to the story because I mean,
Yeah.
and it's you truly this is a slasher for slasher's sake. You come for the kills,
Yeah.
and it's I think I really do love the slashers subgenre, but man, if the kills don't hit, it's just you're like, this is just
It's
disappointing.
yeah, it's really what you're looking for in slashers. That's like the thing usually.
Yeah,
And then I think this is the one I was thinking about this when we talked about humanoids from the deep. When you talked about the fighting scene, I think this was the one I texted you and I was like, this fighting scene right now in the grocery store between
great.
the main character's ex-boyfriend and I don't know, the guy, one of the manager, I can't remember who it is that he hits or that hits him or
Right. It's
whatever.
not great.
It's not great, but I was doubting things because that happens pretty early. That happens before the store closes down. You get this story of like, oh, he's like this abusive ex. He's a piece of shit, whatever. And they're like, you get away from her. And they like have this weird fight, and it's not great. And I was like, you know. But then after it starts going, it was a much cooler, like wild, fun experience because it does have some really crazy kills, and it is gory in a way that I don't think I don't think I think there's a lot of it, but I wouldn't say it was like mindless, over the top, like some things. I
Right.
think it made sense for what was happening, and it
Right.
didn't really like.
It seemed, and it's interesting because it's like, you and I both enjoy the Saw franchise.
Yes.
And but it's like
One of very few things we have in common on the film front of things. Yes.
right.
Yes.
And you obviously come to Saw 2 for the kills and like the traps,
Yeah.
but it's also like you have to suspend your disbelief because it's like you're telling me this man on his deathbed is making these things. Come on. But here it's like
Yeah.
this is just all these kills are like ingenuity and utility based. It's
Yeah.
like this is what's lying here. That's
How do
what I'm
we
going to
use
use.
this to do it? Yeah. And I think it's there's like I think there's nods to this movie in other movies. Like did you watch the Fear Street trilogy?
Yes. Are you talking about specifically in the first one?
The grocery store kill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
With
yeah. Like
which
it
is
like
also
I
brutal.
obviously I saw that before I saw this cuz I just watched this after you gave me the list of movies, but I was when I was watching this there's things that happen and I was like, "Oh my god." Like that this I think this has influenced a lot of movies. Was my point even bringing that up because some of these kills I don't think probably were ever done before this movie. And like you said, like using what's there in the grocery store is really smart because there's a lot of dangerous stuff in a grocery store,
Yeah,
especially
hiding.
that type of. It's a little different now, maybe. I don't know. I haven't been in the back of one, but I assume it's a little different now as far as like the big things that they had and like the big meat hooks. And I don't know if it's like that anymore. I don't think so,
Right.
but
I
but
don't know
either
about that.
way, like some of the things that they have to use to cut meat or to portion or to do these different things, like some of that's probably still very much there. Um, so yeah, I thought this one was fun. I did it. I do think the beginning is a little bit slow, but I think its intention is to misdirect the viewers, and then just after that, it's just nuts. It reaches like a certain point
Right.
and then just goes. Um, so
It's
I
like
like the pace.
yeah, and it's a nice little that setup is tantamount to it too because
Yeah,
it kind of helps lure you into because you're like, okay, this is going to be one of those slower slashers, right? And I remember
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
it after that first kill happens and going like, okay, so what? Probably
Be a
10,
while.
15, yeah, 10, 15. And then immediately afterwards, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
You know, it's literally just for like a good 40 minutes there. It is just, I killed
Death, death,
someone.
death, death. Yep.
Yeah. Do. You know,
Yep.
it's just
Yeah.
literally all of it is just the time it takes to set up the next death.
That's it. Yeah. No, for
Yeah.
sure. It's very fast paced after the original, like, first half hour or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it works. I mean, I didn't feel like the story elements were weak just because it was so focused on the kills. I thought it was fun. Like, it
Yeah.
made sense. You kind of felt bad. You know, they're talking about good times and how they've been friends and working there together for however long. And it feels a little more realistic in that way too, because it's very, like, kind of relationship based. And then obviously the reactions when people start dying off.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think they do a fantastic job too of like, because it's happening so fast, quick pace, is
Yeah.
that you can believe that no one else also is like hearing this go down. Because the
Oh,
killer's
yeah.
he's doing it so efficiently and like I worked retail for a little bit and like when it's closing time, when you're closing stuff down, you go into your own world
Mm,
and you just don't really hear anything else. You're just like, I need to get this done so I can get the hell out of here.
yeah.
So
No, it's true. Especially because even though this is like a small business, there's so many different areas of the building
yeah,
that it's like you feel like those people, like that one guy, he's in a bunch of stuff. He's like in this area in the back, like completely by himself, isolated from everybody else. And I think it's the guy that gets the but um
Ted
eh,
Raimi, I think.
oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes. That's why I was like, I know he's in a bunch of stuff, but I'm totally spacing on his name. But yeah, he's back there by himself, completely isolated from everybody else. And there's enough going on, like you said, that it makes, like, you're not just what I've said. How many movies have we seen where we've been like, there's no way nobody heard all that shit going on?
right,
Like, you're literally in the next room over. No, I agree with that. And I do think, I will say too, I think it did a good job of building up those scenes of tension and making them feel isolated, like they were completely alone and kind of helpless. They did a good job because they kind of do this, like, stalker approach with the camera in certain parts.
right.
I think that works really well for this too.
Yeah, and that's why the first like 30 to 35 minutes are tantamount because it shows all of the characters kind of like working together, but then
Yeah,
slowly
they start
drifting,
to. Yep.
do their
Yeah.
own thing. And it
Good.
feels like when they do those shots, it's like, okay, this person is just on their own,
Yeah.
and just even if it's like, well, they're, putting tags on cereal in a aisle that's like
They
clearly,
feel alone. It
yeah,
feels like
they
they're
feel
alone.
alone.
They did
And
a good
so,
job. I think that's like a huge testament to the cinematography in this, the way that this was filmed.
yeah, I mean, as I said, the
Great camera
cinematography's
shot.
solid.
Yeah.
Bam.
Great, great shots. Because you're dead on with the aisle thing. Like, the aisles feel, originally, when they're, like, together and they're like, okay, everything before anything bad happens, it feels very small. But then
Yeah.
when they're shooting these individual aisles, to your point, it feels huge. Like, the aisle is like a million feet
Humongous.
long. And it's
Right.
like, yeah, very, 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 very well shot. I
Yeah.
totally
It
agree with that.
it goes from feeling like almost a ma and pa shop atmosphere
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
feeling like a Walmart supercenter,
Yeah, it's
you know?
crazy, and it's all done with camera angles.
Yeah, which is
And the
just
way that they
fantastic.
chose to film, certain sections of the movie, it's insanely well done.
Yeah, and so, I mean, those obviously, there's a lot going on with this film, but clearly it's the kills, so I have to ask, of
Yeah.
course, what's your favorite kill?
It's like a two-part. So my first, okay,
Ooh.
sort of. I really, the second one's really just more, I thought, was a really funny moment, but it's related to a kill. I think my favorite kill is the, what is it that goes, what is the thing that goes through the guy's face? You know
Uh,
what I'm talking about? It's the, what
why
is
am
it
I
called? I can't, I'm
why am I
picturing it in my
blanking?
head. It's the guy, it's the guy when he's like, it cuts through his head, like, which way does it cut? He's like laying down and it cuts through, like, here, I think, and it cuts all the way down.
I know what kill you're talking
What's
about,
the
but I can't
stupid
think of
thing called?
Oh no, we're gonna look really dumb.
You're
Oh well.
supposed to know this. I'm ashamed. Just kidding.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. No, I can't remember what the thing's called,
but
but that
that
was my
kills
favorite
great.
kill. Because the practical effects in that, when it looks like his jaw is like moving as it's cutting through, and like the teeth and
Yeah,
this sort of like tissue and the outline of the jaw, I was like, this is why practical is best, though, folks. This is why,
indeed.
because that looked incredibly realistic. And it's kind of a short, or a kind of a, not, it doesn't, it's not a long extended scene, I would say, because I think a lot of
Right.
it's very quick. But there's something about it that makes it feel like it really took its time getting through him. And then my second part to that is, and this is, again, this is mostly because I thought this was really funny. The guy that got cut in half and then his body was put in the half off bin.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
come on.
tell me you know how to have fun with a slasher film. I thought that
Right.
was super, super funny.
It's
Um, what about you? What's your favorite one?
I think mine is the box crutcher where you just like
That's
because
a good
it
one too.
it's like because also like the killer kind of you show his POV, he like moves around and it's kind of like hiding and like moving around
It's yeah,
behind this guy for a little bit, and you're
it
like,
takes a minute, yeah.
yeah, and then just the practical effects for it are fantastic, and it's like I
Yeah.
don't think like one of those box crushers has been used in a movie.
N- Not that I've ever seen, I
Not
don't
that I've seen.
think. That's a
So
good one too.
it's very original, and then it's I know it's quick. Like my second favorite one probably is the one with the like needle for the receipts.
Oh, that's a good one.
Just because I've always thought about like when I've seen those, I'm like, what in the hell? Why are these
I
laying around?
know, very dangerous. You could easily pick that up and stab somebody with it. Yeah. Yeah.
Super
Those are
dangerous,
good ones. There's a lot to pick up with the, or
obviously.
to talk about with the kills, because that's, I mean, it's so much of what makes this movie, I think, good. And they, and like we've kind of already touched on this, but they set it up like, oh, it's this ex-boyfriend doing it because he's
Right.
crazy. But it's they definitely try to set it up like it's him, but it's not. It's the partner of the, or the business partner, the
Yeah.
business partner of the guy who's selling, and he's pissed that he's selling. And
Right.
so the logical thing to do in that situation is to kill everyone who works in the store
Just
and then
fucking
blame it on the piece of shit ex-boyfriend so that you can live out your life
right. And
as, I don't know, whatever he
it's
thought was going to
whatever.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean like and it's that kind of motive too makes sense. Like he's
Yeah.
crazy. Don't get me wrong, but
No,
like
but he cared about it. He was like
yeah,
really close to that guy, that he was like really involved in the business. I guess it had been however many years at that point. I
right.
mean, when you're whole, I mean, people in general typically are not big fans of change. We like things to stay the same, stability and all that. So when you're talking about literally your whole life,
Right. Yeah,
it's
because he
like,
talked about how he was like a stock boy or something,
and he
and how
started out, yeah, exactly. And so it's like this whole emotional thing for him, and they have like their little argument when they're both in the little office or whatever, they're talking about it. And yeah, it's like it's a big deal to him, and it's really upsetting, and so he kills everybody.
he kills everyone. Yeah, and
He's like,
but
well,
it's like, yeah, that I mean, that totally makes sense that you could go like, you could just be mad at the system and just take it out on whoever is in your vicinity, just bloody swath. And that makes total sense. I I gotta ask, I'm a big fan of these type of endings, but I want your opinion on the ending.
in this sense that he gets away with it.
Yeah, because it's not a
Okay.
typical slasher ending.
No, he doesn't die or get
Yeah,
caught. He still blames it on them, right? He still blames it on the ex-boyfriend, whatever, or
yeah,
whatever he is, and the girl, and he, like, totally gets away with it.
totally gets away with it. And
I like
it's
it.
yeah, it's infuriating in the
But
moment.
it's different, right?
Yeah,
Because it's like, so many times, especially I feel like this happens a lot in horror, because we do have all these subgenres and they all have their little outlines that they follow.
Right.
And again, coming into this as a first watch, having not seen it in '89, I was 1. Um,
You could have gone to the theaters.
I could have gone to see this, but I, like, coming into it late, and the slashers I've seen are, they're relatively cookie cutter. Slashers not my favorite subgenre anyway, but for
That's fair.
this to do something different with the ending like this, because I liked the idea that I went into it. I didn't know anything, but once I realized, okay, it's like a slasher, it's like this guy killing people, um, but he gets away with it. I was mad at first, but it's one of those things you sit on and you're like, "You know what though? Like,
Gotta give him props.
that's unsettling that somebody could do all of that
Yeah.
and just be like, "Oh, it was him.
Well, and,
Bye."
like, it
You know?
honestly, based on, like, the situation that ends up unfolding, it makes it's more realistic, you know? Again,
I was gonna say I was gonna
the
say the same thing. It's like,
yeah,
we see it happen all the time.
yeah,
Like, just like we see people who didn't do anything get in trouble for doing things. Like, it's
right.
just such a backwards, and it's unsettling, I think, because of that. It's like, "Oh, he just, like, was able to say whatever, and he just completely fucking gets away with it." It's crazy.
Yeah, and he's like and they put him through, like they got him a couple times with, like, the cleaver and everything, so
Yeah, he does
he's
not come out
bad.
unscathed. It more
Yeah,
but unfortunately, I think that probably helps, right? Because that makes him look like a victim.
yeah,
So it's like, but yeah, no, I did like the ending. I think seeing that, one of the reasons I don't typically like slashers is because a lot of times I feel like they do stay safe and they do stay within that same realm of like, here's the steps of how to make a slasher, and then they go, here's
right.
step one, two, three, four, whatever. Whereas this felt like, and maybe the ending is another reason why I don't think the twist part really matters that much,
Yeah.
but to end it that way when it's not like like I said, he didn't die, he didn't get locked away, like, he just was like, "Alright, I'm out." That's
Yep,
crazy.
it's wild. He's gonna
I
go to the
liked it.
hospital, recover for a
Yep,
little bit, and then get away with it.
and then back to life as it was the day before, 2 days before,
Yep.
however many days is, yeah, there. So, yeah, no, I liked it. I like endings, I'm kind of like you in this sense. I prefer endings where they're not happy. Sometimes they make me mad, like the Deep House ending makes me mad. But
Right.
after I sat on it for a couple days, I was like, you know what? That really was the best way to end that movie, and I can appreciate that. And I think when you're talking about these horrible things, to me, it's way better to understand, like, oh, hey, maybe the people couldn't actually defeat an elder god or a
Right.
ghost or a serial killer with a emotional motive. But no, I liked that it ended that way. I think it added something different to it, even though it's
Right.
older. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think there's one other element that doesn't really get brought up with this film that,
Hmm.
like, it breaks the mold. The romantic interest gets killed kinda
Early,
way
right?
earlier than you
Yeah,
yeah, fairly early anyways. I mean,
the
he's one
guy
of the
that has
last
the
ones.
crush on the cashier, right?
Yeah,
On the
and he's
cashier.
like but you would never expect the shitty ex-boyfriend to be
To
like,
make it.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
you're like, "When is this fucker gonna die?" You know,
yeah.
kinda like, "Oh, okay, take care of him early, right?" And then they subvert that and go like, no, he's staying. He's in it for the
Yeah, we're
long
gonna get
haul."
rid of the one you're probably trying to root for instead, which is crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very unique considering it's one of the earlier ones, right? So I liked that about it. I thought it made it good. So I would agree with you on this one, I think, as well. It's underrated. I'm really surprised, given as many fans of slashers as there are, that this isn't talked about more.
yeah.
That seems kind of strange.
I
So,
think it might be that, like, the killer themselves, not anything, like, cool, like, iconic about him.
like a mask,
Yeah,
or
like a
like,
mask,
yeah.
like a mannequin face.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
and
That's a good one though.
it did come out late '80s, so the slasher genre had, like, kinda gone into a death knell for a little bit
Yeah.
there.
This was several years before Scream came out and kind of like
Oh, yeah.
pushed it back into the limelight. But yeah, I think that no, I really liked this one. That was good.
Yeah.
See, there's only been one so
There's
far.
only been one. I'm doing good, squad.
What were you thinking? Did you think it was going to be that many that I was like, I really like this when you sent the list, or were you like, oh God?
I was like, I'm like, if I can do 50, like half and half, I'll be pretty happy. So
Yeah,
because I'm like,
I've liked all of them except one so far.
there you go. Because well, I have weird ass taste, so I'm like, but these films are not for everyone. But
No, they're not. But that's why we're talking about them to hopefully get more people at least interested to seeing them or talking about them. That's the
come
hope,
on,
right?
people.
Underrated
Indeed,
gems.
fingers crossed.
Well, cool. I don't know. We have 4 left. I don't know which one we're gonna do next, so I won't announce it because we don't know yet. But we don't know what order yet. But
Surprise.
um, you'll be surprised. If you haven't seen the other ones, we've covered a whole bunch of movies: Humanoids in the Deep, Galaxy of Terror, The Brain, Tourist Trap. What else have we done?
Theater of Blood.
Theater of Blood. We've done a bunch of them. There's a playlist. Please go watch. As always, Radar's links where you can find his content and his books will be in the description for this episode. If you're not following him, please do so. Otherwise, I think that's going to wrap up this episode of Underrated Gems. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us as always. We hope you have a great rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Radar and I will see you in the next one.